issues. Greetings, discreet defenders. Today we're hoping to get some useful data on the performance of the Winchester Silvertips in 22LR out of the Walther P22Q with its 3.4-inch barrel. We have 17 inches of gel column backed up by a kitty litter jar full of water, and we're going to try to get at least 2 rounds into the 22 block so that we can compare. We know that the Silvertips slightly underpenetrate, so to minimize penetration, we're going to go with a bare gel block. Now the Silvertips are 37 grains, pretty little bullets. Put one in each magazine so I don't screw up. Feeds fine. And these blocks are fresh off the ice and sweating in the sunlight. I'm gonna shoot from about 6 feet away. First round went right where I wanted it. Good, strong expansion cavity right there. And the bullet itself came to rest. The core projectile came to rest right at, just about 11 inches into the gel. So that's about what we were expecting. Gonna reverse the blocks now. Make sure I get a fresh track. Don't go over the old one. There we go. Same test. Other magazine. Perfect shot placement. Slightly longer trail in the gel. You can see those fragments breaking off from the expansion. There's the old bullet from the first test. And there's the second bullet. A little bit deeper, which is good to see. We want 11 inches to be the minimum penetration. Okay, so there's the round. There's the core. And it has come to rest just short of 12 inches. All right, that's going very, very well. That's gone well enough. I don't feel a need for a third test. We've seen these bullets perform quite similarly out of both guns that we've tested them out of this summer. They go about 11 to 12 inches in gel, and with a t-shirt barrier or in bare gel like we see here. So these Winchester Silvertips are potentially an effective round, and we'll get those home and weigh those cores, because even though it's a 37 grain projectile, what comes to rest at the end has actually fragmented into 4 pieces, a core and 3 segments. And we want to make sure to properly represent what's actually coming to rest at 11 to 12 inches in the gel.
All right, let's get into this. These are the wound tracks from the Winchester Silvertips in 22LR. And this is the longer track right here. You can see that the bullet went to 11 7/8 inch, let's call it. Yeah, just about 12 inches. Unfortunately, we had to reuse this for a different test, but this is the wound channel left by the Silvertip. You can see this is the core of the bullet, and here is one of the fragments right back here. And this is kind of the problem, what makes this round sort of marginal. It starts off 37 grains, it's pretty cool, but it sheds something like a third of its weight early in its track, and only the core penetrates the 11 to 12 inches that we've seen in the 3 gel tests that we've done. Now, I did have a slightly deeper penetration by one of the fragments. I think this was the deepest that I observed in the field, but you know, it's gone 7 inches. So some of those fragments penetrate a little bit better. Generally speaking, you know, little tiny pieces like this that penetrate 3 to 7 inches, these are not really doing a lot of damage. Again, this is in gel, not in human tissue. If they struck a bone or anything, I mean, a little thing like that's not going anywhere. They weigh 3 grains each or so. They're really tiny. Let me grab that deep penetrator there. Let me grab 3 of them, sort of at random, and put them on a scale here. Yeah, the total is 10.4 grains on those 3 fragments, and each of the bullets will throw off 3 of these little petals. They're not really a part of the stopping power of these bullets. The real weight, the real energy, the retained weight. This one actually has one of its petals still stuck to it and kind of mushed. So let's get the wound channel out of here so we're on a hard surface. That one stayed at almost 31 grains. So that's not terrible, but it didn't fracture all the way it's designed to. This one lost all 3 of its petals. Let's see. And that one's coming in at 27.6 grains. Again, it's what's that they always say? Better than a sharp stick. But you've got bullets going 11 to 12 inches with retained weight of something like 70%. Here, let's look at those. Let's look at both of those wound tracks side by side here. There's a petal still in that one. They're cute, but they're not. They're kind of a gimmick. I'm not really sure what they're supposed to do. Maybe on small game, those little petals have some impact. But here, let's give you an idea. Those wound tracks are up to, you know, an inch wide, maybe a bit more. And maybe that does some additional tissue damage just at first. And maybe that's insignificant. I tend to be in the camp that thinks that's insignificant. So I'm really not sure about these Winchester Silvertips. They're a relatively clean round. They don't produce a lot of unburnt powder residue. That's worth something. When you're out shooting, you don't get, if the wind is in your face, you don't get hot, unburnt bits of powder blown back in your face. So that's always a positive. So I think In general, rounds that are designed for a pistol are a better idea, even when you're shooting a tiny little caliber like 22 or 22 Magnum. But I'm not so sure. I'm not 100% sold on these Winchester Silvertips. I don't know about the fragmentation. Not sure it's worth shedding 30% of the weight of the projectile. I'm not completely sold on the segmenting hollow point design. Notice, for example, that it was the bullet that retained more weight that penetrated deeper, and it retained weight by failing to break off all three segments. So I think the Silvertip design could be enhanced simply by making it a non-expanding bullet, just like the Federal Punch. Only 37 grains. That might be something for Winchester to look into. How easy would it be to fill in that hollow point cavity? I think it'd be cheaper to make the bullets, and they'd perform better. So I think this is a round with some potential. It's certainly impressive, as far as I'm concerned, to get reliably 11 inches of penetration out of a 22 pistol. But I think it could be made better with some better engineering. All right, thanks, folks. This is Dave for DDR. Have a great week.
All 12, no issues.